The Cold War was a time of great tension and rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. Both superpowers possessed vast nuclear arsenals, capable of unimaginable destruction. Among their most formidable weapons were nuclear submarines. These underwater behemoths could remain submerged for months, carrying nuclear-tipped missiles capable of striking targets thousands of miles away. The Soviet Union in particular invested heavily in its submarine fleet. They saw these vessels as a way to offset the West's advantage in surface ships. Soviet submarines were feared for their speed, stealth, and firepower. The dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked a pivotal moment in world history. The once mighty empire fractured into 15 independent republics. This seismic shift had profound implications for global geopolitics, particularly in the realm of nuclear weapons and military capabilities. For Russia, the primary successor state to the Soviet Union, the collapse brought about a period of immense economic and political turmoil. The burden of maintaining the vast Soviet military machine, including its formidable nuclear submarine fleet, proved unsustainable. The once mighty Red Fleet, a symbol of Soviet naval power, faced an uncertain future. The decision to decommission a significant portion of the nuclear submarine fleet was driven by necessity. Decommissioning a nuclear submarine is a far cry from simply sending it to a scrapyard. These are complex machines, housing nuclear reactors and potentially hazardous materials. The process is meticulously planned, time-consuming, and incredibly expensive. It involves several key stages. First, the submarine is deactivated. This involves removing all weapon systems, disabling the nuclear reactor, and purging the vessel of fuel and other hazardous materials. Once deactivated, the submarine is towed to a shipyard, equipped to handle the next stages of decommissioning. The reactor compartment containing the heart of the submarine's power plant is carefully cut away from the rest of the hull. This section, still highly radioactive, is then sealed and transported to a long-term storage facility. The remaining hull, now free of its nuclear heart, can be further dismantled and recycled. Nuclear submarines, despite their strategic importance, pose significant environmental risks, particularly during the decommissioning process. The radioactive materials used in their reactors and weapons systems require careful handling and long-term storage to prevent contamination. One of the primary concerns is the spent nuclear fuel, which remains highly radioactive for thousands of years. This fuel must be carefully removed from the submarine's reactor and stored in specialized containers. These containers, in turn, need to be housed in secure facilities designed to withstand natural disasters and prevent leaks. Another concern is the potential for radioactive contamination during the dismantling process. Cutting through the submarine's hull can release radioactive dust and debris into the environment. This requires stringent safety protocols, protective equipment for workers, and constant monitoring to ensure that contamination levels remain within safe limits. Proper decommissioning and waste management are crucial to protecting both human health and the delicate marine ecosystem. Section 5. The Kursk Disaster, a Tragedy of Errors. The sinking of the Russian submarine Kursk in the Barents Sea on August 12, 2000, was a stark reminder of the inherent dangers of submarine warfare, even in peacetime. The disaster, which claimed the lives of all 118 crew members, sent shockwaves throughout Russia and the world, exposing flaws in the Russian Navy's safety procedures and emergency response capabilities. The Kursk, an Oscar II-class cruise missile submarine, was participating in a large-scale naval exercise when tragedy struck. A faulty torpedo detonated in the submarine's forward torpedo room, triggering a catastrophic explosion that ripped through the vessel. Despite the severity of the initial explosion, there were survivors in the aft compartments of the submarine. However, rescue efforts were hampered by a combination of factors, including rough seas and inadequate rescue equipment. The Kursk disaster exposed systemic problems within the Russian Navy, highlighting a culture of secrecy and a reluctance to acknowledge shortcomings. Section 6. The Mystery of the K-129, Lost in the Depths. While the Kursk disaster unfolded before the eyes of the world, another Soviet submarine tragedy, the loss of the K-129 in 1968, remains shrouded in mystery and intrigue. The sinking of the K-129, a Gulf II-class ballistic missile submarine, during a routine patrol in the Pacific Ocean, sparked a Cold War espionage saga that continues to fascinate historians and military analysts alike. The K-129 vanished without a trace in March 1968, along with its entire crew of 98 men and its complement of nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles. The cause of the sinking remains a subject of speculation, with theories ranging from a catastrophic battery explosion to a collision with a U.S. Navy submarine. The Soviet Union, unable to locate the wreckage of the K-129, eventually declared it lost with all hands. However, the United States, using sophisticated underwater listening devices, had pinpointed the submarine's final resting place on the seabed, some 1,500 miles northwest of Hawaii. Section 7. Scrapping the Steel Shark's Disassembly and Disposal. Dismantling a nuclear submarine's hull is a complex process. It involves cutting the submarine into sections and decontaminating them. First, hazardous materials like asbestos and PCBs are removed. The hull is then cut using torches or hydraulic shears. Valuable metals are sent to recycling plants for repurposing. Disposal is subject to strict regulations and international agreements. Section 8. From silent hunters to tourist attractions. In a curious twist of fate, some decommissioned Russian submarines have found new life as unlikely tourist attractions. These once formidable vessels, once symbols of Cold War might, have been transformed into floating museums, offering visitors a glimpse into the secretive world of submarine warfare. One such example is the B-413, a Foxtrot-class submarine that patrolled the Atlantic Ocean during the Cold War. Now permanently docked in Kaliningrad, Russia, the B-413 has been meticulously restored to its former glory, complete with period-accurate equipment and furnishings. Visitors can explore the submarine's cramped compartments, marvel at its torpedo tubes, and learn about the daily lives of the submariners who called it home. Another notable example is the K-21, a Soviet-era submarine that saw action during World War II, sinking a German transport ship. Now a museum ship in Severomorsk, Russia, the K-21 offers visitors a sobering reminder of the sacrifices made by submariners during wartime. Section 9. The Legacy of the Red Submariners. The story of Russia's Cold War nuclear submarines is not just about steel and technology. It is also about the men who served aboard these vessels, facing immense pressure and danger in the depths of the ocean. The Red Submariners, as they were known, endured long and arduous patrols, often in cramped and hazardous conditions, their lives dedicated to protecting their nation from perceived threats. During the Cold War, Soviet submariners faced constant scrutiny and suspicion from Western navies. They played a dangerous game of cat and mouse, their missions shrouded in secrecy. Despite the hardships, the Red Submariners developed a strong sense of camaraderie and esprit de corps. They relied on each other for support, their bonds forged in the crucible of shared danger. Their service, often overlooked or forgotten, played a crucial role in shaping the course of the Cold War. Even today, long after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the legacy of the Red Submariners lives on. Section 10. The Future of Nuclear Submarines. Despite the end of the Cold War, nuclear submarines remain a vital component of many nations' naval strategies. Their ability to operate stealthily for extended periods, carrying a devastating payload of nuclear or conventional missiles, makes them a potent deterrent and a formidable force projection tool. The United States, Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom all maintain fleets of nuclear-powered submarines, and other nations are seeking to acquire them. These modern submarines are technological marvels, far more advanced than their Cold War predecessors. They are quieter, faster, and equipped with sophisticated sensors and weapons systems. However, the future of nuclear submarines is not without its challenges. The high cost of building and maintaining nuclear submarines puts a strain on defense budgets. Furthermore, the environmental risks associated with nuclear submarines, particularly the disposal of spent nuclear fuel and the potential for accidents, continue to fuel debate. The enduring impact of the Cold War beneath the waves. Russia's Cold War nuclear submarines tell a story of technological prowess and geopolitical rivalry. These underwater behemoths, symbols of Cold War might, have left an indelible mark on history. Decommissioning the Soviet fleet forced Russia to confront nuclear waste management. The legacy of the Red Submariners is one of courage and unwavering dedication. Lessons from the Cold War submarine race remain relevant today. The ocean, once a battleground, now reminds us of diplomacy and environmental responsibility.